Right. Well, here we are, episode 30, as you just confirmed a moment ago, then.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's been a while because somebody's been on vacation, and
Exactly.
yeah, yeah. So you finished up your trip. You're back in Australia. How
Yeah.
has everything been? I noticed that you couldn't do certain things like meet me.
I know. I'm very sorry about that.
Yeah,
When we were passing through your part of the world, I don't think it's a secret where you live, is it? So,
yeah.
um, it was quite late, unfortunately. And I did sort of consider giving you a call quite late or trying to get in contact, but we also had a long way to go. And who would have thought that the trip from Miami to New Orleans is like a long drive? I mean, who would have thought? So Google was saying 12 hours, but of course that means if you never stop at all. Uh, and of course we did have to stop. So it was sort of
Mhm.
15, 16 hours of one way. So yes, so I'm very sorry. My plan was originally to meet you. And I was also hoping to find another opportunity to go up and be in that part of the world as well.
Mhm.
But that didn't transpire either, unfortunately. So,
Mhm.
but do have family in-laws in Florida, so I will no doubt be in that part of the world again at some stage. And of course, you're going to be at ICMI 25,
Yeah, I believe I absolutely am going to be there. Yeah.
so we'll get to meet then, which will
Mhm.
be good.
Okay,
So
and subscribe to my subscribe start so you can give me some money for the funds for me to
yeah,
travel to
exactly.
Australia. So
Good plan.
yeah.
Yes, and I had we skipped a week because I had a little bit of laryngitis, which unfortunately
Mhm.
I'm a little bit prone to, unfortunately. So I've had
Well,
about two or three.
every time you're done traveling, you get sick.
This seems to be something lately. I've traveled, had done
Yeah.
3 international trips, and I've managed to basically get sick each time. So
Mhm.
yeah, it kind of sucks. But that's
Yeah.
yeah. Hope it's not a sign I'm getting older. That would suck. But I don't know. Maybe I just got a bit unlucky. There seem to be a lot of people coughing around me in aircraft.
Hmm.
So
Right. All right. What we got on the list today?
so I was going to. I've got a few different things here. So I was going to talk about clown world. So there's a lot of crazy in the world these days, and a lot of things that even 10 or 20 years ago nobody would have predicted, or at
Hmm.
least we might have thought nobody would have predicted. But it turns out science fiction writer Robert Heinlein did predict it. This is something a friend actually pointed out to me a number of years ago. I do occasionally mention it. I don't think I've ever mentioned it on the goalpost. I thought this is a good opportunity.
All right.
So he came up with this idea called the crazy years. And when you actually read about it, it's actually a little bit sort of a little bit prescient. So you actually put this down in the early 1940s. I think it may have been 1941 when he first, the earliest notes that we've got from him that show this idea. And his notes read, and I quote, considerable technical advance during this period, accompanied by a gradual deterioration of mores, orientation, and social institutions, terminating in mass psychoses in the sixth decade, and the interregnum, which basically means a period of political instability. So in his stories, this period covered the late 20th century and the early 21st century. So, yes, a growing number of people are now regarding this as prescient.
Hmm.
Did he nail it or what?
Right. Exactly. Well, Heinlein. I haven't gotten a good read of Heinlein. I think my wife and I have a couple of their books, his books, and he seems to have a lot of interesting ideas kind of ahead of his time, basically.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. He's an interesting character. I've read mostly his short stories. I haven't read any of his novels, but the short stories I enjoyed, even though, they were dated, obviously, in terms of technology. I think, yeah, there were lots of really good ideas in there. He does have some people sort of criticize him a little bit for being a bit perhaps militaristic and that sort of thing. Uh, I don't know. I haven't read Starship Troopers. I love the movie, and I
mhm.
spotted it as satire straight away. I have to say, and but apparently the book is it's quite different. And one day we should read that.
Yeah, right.
Notwithstanding,
I don't think it had the satirical sort of overtones
mm,
that the movie did because I watched the movie for the first time like a few years ago, and it's such a popcorn movie. You know, it's just sit
I love
down.
it. Would you
Yeah,
like to know more?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It's just fun. You know, don't
it
read too
is
much into it. Don't take it horribly seriously. But at least
exactly.
men and women are fighting if they must fight. So yeah, at
I
least
mean,
everyone's.
I like some of the ideas in the movie actually, where they were particularly, for example, they talk about the concept of the veterans basically stabilizing society, and that's why you need citizenship to vote and be a veteran in most cases. But the shower scene was fun. I mean, it showed that it really was a genuinely different society where the men and women are all showering together, and they weren't even remotely bothered by this. It was completely normal, at least in the military. So,
Right.
yeah, it was very much a different society to ours.
Yeah, there's no panic about, how men in a woman's space, not that they're saying this is a
Mm.
woman's space or anything like that. It's a more collective
Yeah,
space.
that's right.
But nobody's presented as a harm to either. Everybody's kind of just minding their own business, of course.
Exactly right. And yeah, so I really do enjoy it. I've watched that movie actually several times, including I think a couple of years ago. Watched it again. So
Okay, yeah, all right.
yeah. But yeah, Robert Heinlein, yes, I think as we were saying before, his ideas were often really ahead of their time. Oh, that was the other thing I was going to mention about Robert Heinlein.
Mhm.
There's a rumor that he bet another science fiction writer that he couldn't start a religion.
Okay,
Yep. And so Robert Heinlein, from what I've read, and I read about this a few years ago, from what I've read, when he was questioned about this, he was a bit evasive about it. So the person who the rumor that he claimed he bet was none other than the founder of Scientology.
yeah,
So
it had to be. Like I was just thinking,
exactly.
it has to be him. Like, yeah,
Yeah, exactly. L. Ron Hubbard. So there's a rumor that Heinlein had actually bet L. Ron Hubbard whether he couldn't start a religion, and Robert Heinlein, when this was put to him later in life, supposedly he was a bit evasive on it. So we will probably never know the truth, but it's an
right, yeah.
interesting rumor. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Just imagine if he made Scientology strictly because of that bet.
And if true, I think Heinlein would probably be a bit unimpressed, actually, a bit sort of regretting his actions. Yes, exactly.
Right.
That's
Yep.
right.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, quite prescient what he came up with there with the crazy years. So
Hmm.
the next one I've got on my list, I've it's something I've called second order activism, and it's probably a term I haven't used enough. I've talked about this idea a little bit, but something I first proposed in 2017. Basically, a lot of red pilled ideas or even based ideas are actually being propagated by, and a lot of ideas that men's say MRAs would have originated are actually being propagated by people who not only wouldn't call themselves red pilled or call themselves MRAs, but in some cases are actually hostile to our movement, and yet they'll continue to propagate
Right.
the ideas. Okay, I actually saw a video of an example just today. I was considering it for a voice for men, decided not to put it on because I didn't think the
Okay.
arguments were that he was making were very strong. It was an interesting argument about he was making an argument about incel armies in Africa, essentially saying that young men in Africa are being deprived in a certain part of Africa, actually in west part of Western Africa, are being deprived of access to essentially marriageable partners, and as a result, basically being recruited into militias and so forth,
Hmm.
with a promise of essentially acquiring wealth
Right.
and eventually be able to settle down. I didn't think his argument was super strong, which is why I didn't include it on AVFM.
Hmm.
But nevertheless, it was interesting that he started talking about some ideas that you would have normally heard more in the pages of A Voice for Men 10 years ago. And then he sort of he even called them red pilled ideas and then sort of disparaged the red pill. So it was a very clear example of
See,
what I
it's
call second.
okay when they make the claims. It's okay when
Yeah,
they make the assertions. But when the red pill people, actual red pill people, and MRIs say those kind of things, it's incel stuff. It's misogynist stuff. It's all that.
exactly. And there are a lot of people who do this. I think Tim Pool's done it, Milo
Mhm.
Yiannopoulos, who of course has stepped back now, and somebody else who I think you might want to chat about a little bit later, Carl Benjamin, has done it
Oh yeah,
quite a lot
exactly.
too.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. To be sure. Yeah. And to kind of lead into this, are you done with this subject, by the way?
Yes, if you want
Yeah,
to, I've
yeah.
got other things, but if you want to talk about Carl, that would be probably a good segue.
This is a good segue because you were talking about the promise of wealth to eventually get married, basically, right?
Mm.
And now I want to rant something about Carl Benjamin because and I never directly watched your stuff. I only watched stuff that people like Honey Badger Radio kind of use on their show to kind of pick apart and that kind of thing. So there's a section in what I think was some kind of stream between good old Lauren Chen and her and Carl Benjamin, and there was this part where Carl was just kind of going completely off on men who dare to ask, "What do women bring to the table?"
Mhm.
And actually saying "fuck off, fuck you all," that sort of thing, like actually kind of being particularly harsh to them.
Mhm.
And this had to do in the part of the conversation in which he was criticizing the like making relationships transactional and saying that this is a millennial phenomenon.
Mm,
And
mm.
I think this is utter nonsense. I think this is
Yeah,
bullcrap
I agree.
because historically relationships, because we're talking about marriage here. We're talking about, and that's what they're talking about, is the
Mm,
context of marriage and not just plain old pair bond where excuse me, the marriage is not an issue.
mm.
Um, you know, dowries,
Yeah,
actually being in a wealthy position, like this is not a millennial phenomenon. It's been
no,
done forever,
yeah.
basically, yeah, go ahead.
No, no, I was going to say, could in some cases it could be between families, as you say, with
Yes.
dowries and so forth and bride prices, but even between individuals, when you are looking at a potential future partner, whether you're male or female, you
Right.
are rating them for what they are bringing to the table.
Hmm.
And I've actually argued that when, say, people from a developing country are potentially getting in a relationship with someone from a more developed country, they of course see that as an advantage because they will see that they get an
Hmm.
opportunity to live in the developed country now. And I've argued that there are certainly women, it's more likely to be women who do that, that they will move to a developed country. They may have every intention of staying with that man, actually. And I actually don't have a problem with that personally. There are obviously women who move there with the intention of leaving the man. But there are other women who move there with the intention of staying with them. And I think that man with his passport has more value because he has that passport. And I actually
Hmm.
don't personally have a problem with that. Never did.
Right. And
Mm,
and so he's ranting about this stuff, right?
mm,
But what he doesn't realize is that this protest, and and our reaction in general, the red pill space about
mm.
um, sorry, uh, what women bring to the table. Uh, we're protesting the one-sidedness of this thing. Men still have to bring stuff to the table. The woman just has to be
Yeah.
there, and it's kind of astounding to see Carl Benjamin, Sargon of Akkad,
Mm,
saying that this is fine. Like
mm,
gyneology is fine. Is basically what
mm.
he's trying to say here. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was both bizarre and uh, thinking back, unsurprising. Of course he would say such horse crap, but to say it out loud is the more mesmerizing part.
I think it's a good distinction. It's a good example of the distinction between conservatism and men's rights because you can listen to conservatives, and in some situations, they will certainly be making the same noises that we're making. But there are other situations where that very much is not the case exactly. And there's certainly a lot of conservatives who are really down with male disposability. And to a certain extent, this comes into it as well, because in this case, the man is being disposable in the sense that he is becoming a vehicle for the
Hmm.
woman to achieve her ends. I think that's still a form of male disposability. So, or it aligns with it. Yeah, I think it's not surprising. I agree. But as you say, it's perhaps a little more surprising you're so open about
Exactly. Yeah. Oh,
it.
and one other thing. Yeah. This is more of my complaint that whenever anyone says red pill, they're always talking about the Andrew Tates and
Yeah,
so forth, right? Like, talk about us, please.
yeah,
And
exactly.
and with all due respect to Allison from Honey Badger Radio. Yes, we are the red pill. Paul is the red pill. Andrew Tate is not. I know you
Mm,
don't like conflating MRAs with red pills. I mean this absolutely respectfully. Uh,
mm,
let's try and get get to a point where we talk about the red pill and we only mean people like us who talk about actually proper red pill issues and not just pickup artistry. Yeah,
mm.
and I mean
Yeah,
that respectfully. I don't, I'm not trying to rag on anyone. But you
Yeah,
know,
it is true. Different groups will mean different things when they say it. But yes, if you hear it mentioned in the pages of A Voice for Men, it's being mentioned, stated in relation to men's rights.
exactly.
Yeah. So, anything else on Benjamin,
No, nothing
on Carl
else.
Benjamin?
Nope. No,
No
but he
problem.
needs to really wake the hell up. Good grief.
Yeah, there are a lot of people who are who will talk about men's issues in some situations, and I applaud them when they do. But there's a lot of other things I don't agree with those people, and that's true for a lot of politicians here in Australia. For example, we have a number of politicians who will raise men's
Yeah.
issues. People
Hmm.
like Pauline Hanson, who's a very polarizing figure. I think I have mentioned her before. Non-Australians won't know much about her, but she's quite a polarizing figure, or has been through part of her political career. She sort of got attacked in the way that you now might see Trump attacked, where there are claims are made that perhaps things are exaggerated in some cases, but she certainly mentioned men's issues and put them on the table in Parliament, and I applaud her when she does that. But that doesn't mean I necessarily agree with other things that she said, and that's very
Exactly.
common.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and the people are saying, we need to really make nice. We need to work with these people. No, we are working with these people. We're criticizing them.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. I'll applaud them when they say something that I agree with, but criticize them when I say something that I disagree
Hmm.
with, and I don't see
Yeah.
a problem with that. That's an honest
Hmm.
approach to what they're saying.
Exactly. If I want to destroy you, I will, you know, uh, praise everything you do and watch it all crumble.
Yeah, and the same exactly, and the same as other. It's true in other areas too. For example, when we criticise circumcision, male genital mutilation, some people have accused us of being anti-Semitic. I think that couldn't be further from the truth, quite frankly. I personally have spent some time in Israel,
Mhm.
for example, but at the same time, if for example, the Israeli government does something that I disagree with,
Yep.
like for example the no exit orders, which are absolutely over the top and impact men severely,
Yep.
we will criticise them in that
Yes.
situation
Yep.
again. So, and it's about praising people or organisations or countries when they do the right thing and criticising them when they do the wrong thing. Unfortunately, we live in an increasingly polarised society where people have difficulty with this concept. I think a lot of people. It's a
Hmm.
shame.
Hmm. Yeah, to be sure. Right.
They often must feel, this is the way it comes across to me, that they will try to demonize a person or an organization or a country, for example, versus in most cases having that more balanced approach of saying, okay, good, they've done something right here, but they've done something wrong there.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's how I feel about it anyway.
Yeah. I get it. Yeah. I just like being a bit hard line on those kind
Oh
of things.
no,
It's
there are certainly cases where that's certainly warranted, yeah. But
Mhm.
I'm actually thinking more of the woke there, where they
Mhm.
tend to try to demonize people,
Mhm.
and there tends to be, and there is a growing intolerance to alternative viewpoints in the wider society, unfortunately. So.
Mhm. Right.
Uh, just on the topic of transactional marriage, though, I just wanted to clarify too, and certainly my feeling, I think your feeling is the same on this, that yes, if each partner is rating the other, and and then they sort of each realise that the other is bringing something valuable to the table. As I said, I was saying before, I want to clarify, I have no problem with that.
Mhm.
It's the it's
Absolutely.
the it's the reciprocity that's
Mhm.
important there, rather than it being one-sided,
Mhm.
like as you're suggesting, Carl Benjamin is proposing.
Exactly. And he's really assuming that women can do no wrong here too. Yeah, that's the other thing.
Women are wonderful.
Exactly. Yeah, Carl Benjamin says women are wonderful.
Yeah, yeah. And unfortunately, that's very common. And we do see that on both sides of politics. I mean, we often get called conservatives. If anything, I've actually concluded that I'm an anti-conservative because I seek significant change in society. A
Sure.
conservative is one who resists change. Okay, that's the definition of conservative. And since I am seeking change in society, I mean, it does get associated with certain views, of course,
Mhm.
but broadly, that's the intention, that they're resisting social change and so forth. I'm actually seeking change in society, so I must be an
Sure.
anti-conservative.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's a fantastic point, honestly.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the next one I have is a couple of female supremacists. So I have I'm going to start. collecting more of these and naming and shaming. So
All right, sounds good.
we first of all we have
It's not
Lisa
Carl Benjamin, is
Lang.
it? Okay.
No, it's not actually.
I'm
No,
joking. I'm joking.
I might have, no, I'm joking. Yeah. So Lisa Lang is the Senior Vice President of Communications at PETA, or at least it was when I recorded this information in. Let me check the date here. Originally September 22, as far as I know, she's still in position. But, so I checked this tonight. The PETA website quotes Lang as saying, and I quote, "I love my male colleagues and friends too, but there's a strength and a quickness to women who are always 10 steps ahead." So on Wiki for Men, I've attached put her in the female supremacy category because I think that's very much a female supremacist statement. She's asserting that women are intrinsically 10 steps ahead. Well, Lisa, I disagree, we've recorded that on Wiki for Men. Next one, Trina Shapiro. So Trina Shapiro is a journalist and feminist from Hawaii, and her quote is, "I do not," and I quote, "I do not want to be able to. I do want to be able to explain to a 9-year-old boy in terms he will understand why I think it's okay for girls to wear shirts that revel, in their superiority over boys." So I'll read that again because I fudged it a little bit.
Yeah.
"I do want to be able to explain to a 9-year-old boy in terms he will understand why I think it's okay for girls to wear shirts that revel in their superiority over boys." So again, very clearly a female supremacist statement there from Trina Shapiro, journalist and feminist from Hawaii. So they're the only two I have tonight, but I will be collecting more of those.
All right.
And did you have any other topics you wanted to chat about?
Well, so I've got an article coming up in Voice for Men soon that's inspired by this one. It's not directly about it, but I talk about it a little bit. But I'll talk about it a little bit now. So early this year, in best way to kick off the year, by the way, uh, an Oklahoma boy, Willis Gibson, I think his name was off the top of my head, has beaten Tetris. So
Oh, yes.
yeah, right. He's beaten the actual classic NES version of the game, and what this means is basically kind of getting to a point where the game can do no more. It just crashes. It goes into that kill screen, as you call it. Um, and that was done from 38 minutes from play, and it sounds like not too much in the grand scheme of things, but if you're skilled at the game like he was, and put in that much time, it just happened, and his reaction is just priceless. If you see his reaction, he's just kind of uh, I don't know if convulsing is the right word, but he just uh, completely uh, gone nuts in the best way possible. It's just awesome to see.
Nice.
Right. Go ahead.
I read about it, but I didn't actually watch the video.
hmm Yep. And this was thought to be possible, very probably impossible, but an AI was able to do it once. A computer
Okay.
once
Yeah.
did it. So, yeah, but this is the first time a human did it.
Wow.
Right. Yeah. And it's gotten the praise it deserves, I think. A lot of people had the right reaction to it. It's awesome. Right. But of course, somebody from Sky News, I think it is, probably, is it Sky News Australia?
Yeah, Sky
Yeah,
News is an
right.
Australian, a conservative Australian news site, actually.
Well, of course, it's a conservative.
Mm.
But yeah, somebody from Sky News Australia said, go outside. Beating Tetris is not a life goal. Right.
Yeah, you're right. That's sort of goes
Yeah.
along with it, doesn't it?
Yeah, but she got the roasting she deserves, and yeah. So yeah,
I have a
it's
feeling I know who you mean.
okay, yeah. I'm trying to remember exactly who the name of this person was.
The name's not Rita, is it?
I don't think so, but it is a woman.
Oh,
This
okay.
this is kind of
Right, yeah.
blondish, kind of.
Oh, okay. No, it's a different
Yeah.
person. Okay, this
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Particular woman who's on Sky News Australia who I thought you might have been talking about. So.
hmm Yeah.
No, well done to the young man who did
Hmm.
that. So who done
Hmm.
something that no other human has achieved, and I think that is very impressive.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Yep.
like
And
all of us, I guess. I loved Tetris when I was young, and still play
oh
some
yeah.
games.
Oh, I play. It's one of my favorite games. I'm not that good,
Yeah,
but yeah.
same. It's a good game though.
Hmm.
It's developed originally by a Russian, I think, actually, and I don't think he
Yeah.
made a lot of money out of it.
Well, no, because in the Soviet Union, Alexei Pajitnov, I think, is it Pajitnov or Payit? I'm not really sure
I'm
about
not sure.
the last name, but Alexei, he made the game, and well, the ro the royalties didn't work the same way in the Soviet Union where he developed it, and sorry. But so he didn't really see a lot of that money early on, basically. But he came to America, and he's lived in America since, and he's worked more towards game development after the fact.
Oh, so he has achieved some wealth out of it since the
I
early days.
I want to say yes. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's the
I
way it
hope
was.
that's the
Yeah.
case.
Mm.
Yeah, because when I first read about it, it sounded like he hadn't made any much out of it at all, and other people had profited
Yeah.
from his
Yeah.
inventions. So,
Yeah. Somebody can correct me about the post-American period, but
yeah,
yeah. Mm.
no, that's well, I hope so. Anyway, I'll look that up too, actually.
Mm.
And so, do we have anything else? Otherwise, I have one last item to
Well, let's
mention.
get it in. Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to mention Zoe Duran McClellan, who, of course, I end every presentation mentioning.
Yep.
So Zoe McClellan is an American actress known for roles in Jag, Dirty Sexy Money, NCIS New Orleans, and Designated Survivor. I even watched her in Designated Survivor. As of January 2024, a warrant is outstanding for the arrest of McClellan in relation to charges of kidnapping, child stealing, and child custody deprivation. McClellan was reportedly residing in an apartment in River Ridge, Louisiana in April 2021. McClellan has a wealthy family in Louisiana and may still be residing there. Prior to disappearing, McClellan was known to use the alias Sarah Chandler. Anyone with any relevant information should contact the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office. They're available on the web. Let's see if somebody can find her. She has to be out there,
Yep.
and millions of people know what she looks like.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. I think that's probably it for episode 30, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's just a nice, clean episode.
Yep, absolutely. I will talk to you soon.
Talk to you then.